Now that you've learned how to use Puppet Warp, you can also create short animations or GIFs. You can create a simple GIF in Photoshop with just a few steps. Let's open up Photoshop to test this out. In Photoshop, go to File, New, and create a 10" by 10" file. I'm using 300 pixels per inch and RGB for this example. On our new file, I'm going to use File, Place Embedded to bring in my monster drawings in a variety of poses that we created using Puppet Warp. You can bring in the PNG files attached to this course or the ones that you created during the Puppet Warp video. Repeat the process of using File, Place Embedded to bring in a few different versions of your drawing. Each embedded file will create a new layer. Don't worry that all of the images appear on top of each other on your canvas right now. We'll fix that in a minute. Now that we have a number of versions of our drawing in different poses, each on its own layer, we need to line them up a bit. Let's hide all of the layers except for the bottom two. Now we can use the Move tool to line these two up so they are roughly in the same place on the canvas. I'm actually going to move both of these down a bit. Then we can make the next layer visible and use the Move tool again to move this next monster to be in line with the previous two. Remember when using the Move tool that you need to have the correct layer selected in the Layers panel. Now that we have all of the monsters roughly in the same spot, I'm going to add a new layer for the background. Click the plus icon at the bottom of the Layers panel to create a new layer. Drag that new layer to the very bottom and use the paint bucket to give it a solid color. Now we are ready to start animating. Go to the Window menu and select Timeline. This will cause the timeline window to appear below your canvas. Note that double-clicking on this tab that says Timeline will minimize it to the bottom here, so sometimes you may have to click on it down here to bring it back. We are going to create a frame animation. Change this drop-down in the timeline window to say Create Frame Animation, and then click on it. This will automatically create our first frame with everything that was visible in our project. With this frame active, go to the Layers panel and hide all of the layers except the background and our first monster's pose. We can also indicate on the bottom right of the frame how long we want this frame to show. Change this to 0.2 seconds. Great. Notice there is a plus icon on the bottom menu of the timeline window. This will allow us to add another frame. Click this plus icon. In this frame, we are going to hide the original monster drawing layer and make the next one visible. The time is already set to 0.2 seconds since it assumed we wanted to use our last selected time setting. And now we are going to add a frame for each of the rest of our drawings. Now all we need to do is hit the play button in the timeline window. If we want to actually share our animation with others, we will need to export it out of Photoshop. Go to File, Export, and this time we are going to use Save for Web Legacy. There's a lot of different options here, and what you select will depend on your original image, where you plan to share your file, how good your machine is performance-wise, as well as other factors. For our purposes, I'm going to select GIF 64 with no dithering, and I'm removing transparency since I don't have any transparency in my image. And then I'll click Save and tell it where to save my GIF. Now we can go open up the file we just exported, and we should have an animated GIF. Nice job! You now know how to turn a series of drawings into an animated GIF. I can't wait to see your projects.